everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge, presented by Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I'm very excited to be here on this Saturday morning special edition as I am back in Columbus after being away for a couple of weeks for my regular job as I was at Fort Stewart for most of the time. I did come back, and it is Father's Day weekend. So I am very blessed that I'm able to spend time with my kids and my wife during Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We've got a jam-packed show because we've got a lot of sports to talk about here on the show, including the Columbus Lions winning the AIF Championship over the Corpus Christi Tritons. I was there. I was down on the sideline for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. A lot of great moments in that game. I will get into that, the celebration, everything that happened last night at the Columbus Civic Center. We've got a busy day today in Columbus for outdoor soccer. We've got a championship game as Fountain City FC is playing in their championship game at 4. And then Columbus United is taking on the New Orleans Gestures for Soccer Dads Night, 7 o'clock at Kinnett Stadium. Georgia Alabama Sports Live will be there to live stream the game. We will have a pregame show at 5. We're hoping to have the manager, Brett Teach, on, as well as one of the owners, J.D. Hester. It should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to get back up in the broadcast booth and call soccer once again, as I was the play-by-play announcer for the Columbus Rapids for 2 seasons. And I'll get a crack at calling the outdoor game, which is going to be a lot of fun. A couple of weeks ago, they did have over 2,000 fans for the home opener on June the 1st at Kinnett Stadium. So I'm excited to get back to Kinnett Stadium to call this game on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. But first, let's go ahead and break down the Columbus Lions 46-20 victory over the Corpus Christi Tritons. And this was a one-score game with 7 minutes left to go. Columbus jumped out 28-6. I was on the sidelines for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I got to interview Tim Hudson in the beginning of the game as he was part of the coin toss ceremony. That was a great interview and a great moment for me because being a big baseball fan, and Tim Hudson was a huge part of the Chattahoochee Valley, played at Glenwood, went to play at Auburn, of course, a major league career with the Oakland Athletics, the Atlanta Braves, and winning a World Series with the San Francisco Giants in 2014. And I was excited that I got to interview him, and he stayed for the game. And that was just a great moment. He was part of another great moment earlier in the week as he was part of the groundbreaking ceremony for the brand new Synovus Park, which will take the place of historic Golden Park. It will be the site for the AA Atlanta Braves affiliate that will make Columbus their home in 2025. I expect big things for my broadcasting career as part of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I do see scenarios where we end up doing a pregame show on the field, and we're talking about a team we're going to be covering from April to September. Every game is going to be huge. I've had experience working in the Southern Baseball League, so I've had, relationships with, the Montgomery Biscuits, the Chattanooga Lookouts, the Tennessee Smokies. I worked for a baseball team called the West Tennessee Diamond Jacks in the early 2000s. So I'm excited just to see minor league baseball come to the Fountain City in 2025. The brand new Synovus Park is the groundbreaking ceremony. It is underway. It should be ready for the start of the season in 2025. Now back to the Columbus Lions. As the Columbus Lions, they jumped out to that 28-6 lead in the first half, but Corpus Christi came out, had some really good kickoff returns by Maxwell, set them up for good field position, and Corpus Christi cut it to 28-20. Things getting a little tight. There was a play where the quarterback was on his back, and he was able to convert the 2-point conversion. What a great play by Dalton Cole, who really had a decent game despite 4 interceptions, but it was Marcus Brooks with 6 touchdown passes, and including 3 to Jarmon Fortson. There was a play where he converted a 3rd down, They were up 28-20, and Jarmon Fortson makes a huge catch and puts them at the goal line. They go in for the score, and now it's a two-score lead. And so Columbus has some breathing room. But those interceptions by Darrell Green at the end put that game on ice. And I was just down on the sidelines celebrating with the Lions players. Got to interview Coach Damian, the Nighthawk Daniels, right after he got his Gatorade bath. Asked him how it felt to be champions. And then we got to be a part of the championship ceremony. Got to take my picture with the trophy. There was an after party at the pizza place. I had a privilege of having pizza with the owner, Richard Masala, and the president of operations and one of the owners, Casey Smith. And there's going to be great things to come in the future. I'm excited about the Columbus Lions. And I was excited, even though I wasn't part of all the games in the season, I was honored to be part of the broadcast with Thrift Barringer and Rick Beach, as Thrift Barringer has been the voice of the Columbus Lions all season long. And just a big shout out to Brandon Schwobel, Abby Schwobel, Chris Gates, just for an incredible ESPN-like production. And that's really what it was. Being a sideline reporter really gave it a different angle, a different perspective. And it was just a great experience and a great moment for me to be on the sidelines and getting to be a part of the broadcast. And I'm going to be part of another historic broadcast tonight on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, as I will be calling Columbus United taking on the New Orleans Gestures. Columbus United is 2-0 at home on Wednesday. Ted Lasso night, they did defeat Pensacola FC 1-0. So they are now undefeated at home. We had Coach Brett Teach on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. I've been talking with one of the owners, JD Hester, and Coach Brett Teach. I know they're excited that we are going to make our way to Kinnett Stadium later tonight. Thrift Barringer and I will have a pregame show on the field at 5 o'clock for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We will recap the Columbus Lions victory over Corpus Christi. We'll talk about everything else that's going on in the Fountain City when it comes to sports. And don't forget, Fountain City FC taking on LSA Pro, 4 o'clock in the Southern UPSL Championship game at Otis Spencer Stadium. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and looking forward to that. All right, so last night in the NBA Finals, the Dallas Mavericks avoided the sweep. And good for them, because I don't like seeing sweeps. I didn't want to see the NBA Finals in last night. The Dallas Mavericks get the convincing 122-84 victory. And, the Celtics know they could just close this out at home. The Boston Celtics are really one win away from winning their 18th title. The Celtics have been in this situation before where they were up 2-1 against the Golden State Warriors in the 2022 NBA Finals. But the Boston Celtics, a resilient bunch, they just didn't show up here in Dallas to close this out. Remember, the Dallas game in Game 3 was very close, and then Game 2 was close as well. Dallas knew they had to win this game, and I think that the Boston Celtics just took the night off, and that's really, Jason Tatum was just a non-factor. It was Luka with 29 points. Luka is going to have to carry the Dallas Mavericks if they want to try to come back. No team in NBA history has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. We've seen teams before tie it up at 3 and force it to a Game 7. We saw Miami and Boston last year. Boston forced it to a Game 7, and Miami ended up winning. We have seen this before. I wanted to see a good series. I predicted Dallas in 7. I think it's going to be Boston closing it out on Monday night for Game 5 in Boston to win their 18th championship. And this Boston team, they're not a historic team, but they do have very good players, a lot of depth. You got to give credit to the general manager, Brad Stevens, for forming this team, getting back Al Horford, trading Marcus Smart to get Kristaps Porzingis. And that was incredible. Getting Derek White from the San Antonio Spurs, getting Drew Holiday from the Damian Lillard trade. When the Bucks wanted to get Damian Lillard, they shipped off Drew Holiday. He didn't want to play in Portland, so he comes to Boston. It's just tough luck for the Milwaukee Bucks to get rid of a player like Drew Holiday. And so I think that the Boston Celtics close it out on Monday night. Hey, tonight we've got game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals as the Florida Panthers trying to win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history, trying to sweep the Edmonton Oilers. So good luck to the Florida Panthers trying to get that win tonight. And then day 1 of the College World Series yesterday in Omaha. We had 2 incredible games, 2 walk-off wins. How about Vance Honeycutt for North Carolina getting the walk-off win against their ACC rival, the Virginia Cavaliers? How about that? And then Tennessee getting 4 runs in the 9th inning to defeat Florida State. So later today, we've got NC State taking on Kentucky, and we got Florida, who made it to the championship game last season, taking on Texas A&M. On Sunday, we have an elimination game, Virginia taking on Florida State, and then in the winner's bracket, North Carolina taking on Tennessee. So I'm excited about the College World Series. It's nothing but ACC and SEC schools. I think that's pretty cool. And I like the fact that, the ACC has a chance to dethrone the SEC and try to win a College World Series. No team has won a College World Series that wasn't an SEC school since 2018 when Oregon State did it. So the ACC schools try to do something that hasn't been done in 6 years. All right, I'm going to talk WNBA on this school, on this team, on this show. Man, trying to get my words right. I mean, that's the Caitlin Clark effect. She is starting to become a polarizing figure. And you know what I mean, polarizing figure? I mean that we have these expectations that she is the greatest WNBA player, but it's going to take time. She's going to have bad games where she just doesn't have a good game. And against the Atlanta Dream, even though the Fever won, Caitlin Clark shot 3 of 11, only had 7 points. She had 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Caitlin Clark is going to have her ups and downs, mostly downs, because when you're on a team like the Indiana Fever that is not very good, everybody is trying to shut down Caitlin Clark. Dejanay Carrington from the Connecticut Sun probably is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. She has been fantastic shutting down Caitlin Clark the 4 times that the Connecticut Sun has faced the Indiana Fever. You got to remember, Indiana started out playing the New York Liberty and the Connecticut Sun, the 2 best defensive teams in the league. The schedulers did not do any favors for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. So if you take away those games, I mean, they're a 500 team. I mean, they really are. And Caitlin Clark is actually not bad. All right. We're looking at some of the games happening today. You got the New York Liberty taking on the Las Vegas Aces. So on Sunday, we have the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever. We have got Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Part 2. This is actually going to be televised on CBS at noon. But it is also Trinity Carter having to face Caitlin Clark once again. This is going to be some high drama. I can't wait for this matchup. All right, the Atlanta Braves. They're taking on the Tampa Bay Rays in a 3-game series. I mean, this is a good Father's Day weekend getaway at Truett's Park to take on a team down in Florida, the Tampa Bay Rays. I've had Jay Rescher on the show. He covers the Tampa Bay Rays for WDAE 95.3 down in ESPN Tampa. And I was trying to get him on the show because I would love to preview this 3-game series with the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays have had a lot of success, making it to the World Series in 2020, 2008. But let's be honest, their stadium is one of the worst baseball stadiums in the league. Tropicana Field needs to go, and they need to get a new ballpark. I would hate to see the Tampa Bay Rays relocate because, you still have some passionate fan bases. It's St. Pete, Tampa, that of the West Florida over there is really like they love their teams. The Buccaneers, the Lightning, the Tampa Bay Rays do uh, try to get some love. I try to give some love to the Tampa Bay Rays. But let's get into this game because Marcell Ozuna hits his league leading home run, a 3-run shot, and that was starting things off in the first inning. And Atlanta did not look back. Chris Sale picks up the victory as they defeat the Tampa Bay Rays 7-3. So later today, the 37-30 Atlanta Braves taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Once again, Charlie Morton taking the mound. And the standings watch for the Atlanta Braves. Right now, they are 9 back from the Philadelphia Phillies. But percentage points wise, they do lead the wild card. So they would be the number 4 seed if we started the playoffs today. But still a lot of season left to go. We're not even to a month away from the All-Star game. And speaking of which, we are about 1 year away from Atlanta hosting the All-Star 2020. I got to say, it's about time. I was absolutely devastated when Major League Baseball pulled the All-Star game from Atlanta in 2021. Say what you want about the situation. I'm not going to get into the whole situation because this is not a show about politics. But and I know that in hindsight, it was 2021. Even though they were going to host the All-Star game, we were still under COVID protocol. It just wouldn't have felt the same. But 2025 is going to be big for the Atlanta Braves, Truist Park, the Home Run Derby. It's going to be an absolute great event for the city of Atlanta, and I can't wait. A year from now, Atlanta is hosting the All-Star game, and that's the way it should be. Absolutely. All right, your latest update in the U.S. Open. We've had 2 rounds so far. Tiger Woods misses the cut. Scottie Scheffler, who was the odds-on favorite to win the U.S. Open, barely makes the cut. But right now, your leaderboard after 2 rounds is Ludwig Edberg with a -5 at the Pinehurst Country Club. And then below him is, I'm looking at this guy's name, Thomas Dietrich. He has got a -4. Bryson DeChambeau with a -4. You got Phil Cantlay with a -4. And Tony Finau has got a -3. So as you could see, Scottie Scheffler's at a +5, but he does make the cut. So good for him. And several players that did not make the cut, to include Tiger Woods, which I just don't understand how Tiger Woods at his age, that his body is just shutting down like it is. You look at the physical stature of what Tom Brady did when he was in his mid-40s. LeBron's about to turn 40. He is still playing at a high level. Why can't Tiger Woods still play at a high level at his age? I just don't get it. Anyway, so with that being said, this is a very condensed Saturday morning edition of the Sports Beat. Don't forget, you can catch a replay of this Monday through Friday from 2 to 3 on WQEE. That is 99.1 on your FM dial if you're up in Noonan. I get the station all the time when I'm driving up I-85 going towards Atlanta. And also, you can listen to the show online. But if you happen to miss the show, you can always download an episode of this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. I tell you, I'm testing out my equipment. I mean, I got my condenser mic back. I've had this condenser mic for years, but I actually got a switchboard, and I also got a green screen, just trying to grow my brand. I would love to try to get guests on more often. If you would like to be a guest on the show, just message me, and I will try to get you on the show. Don't forget, Thrift Behringer and I will continue to do Georgia Alabama sports live shows. We did a post-game show after the Columbus Lions game last night. We'll try to get that aired on WQEE. Everybody have a great Father's Day weekend. Enjoy the Father's Day weekend, spending time with your family, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.